she is super supportive of me and what I'm trying to do in the world. I think perhaps she hadn't necessarily fully realized what kind of circumstances I was putting myself in. You know, I think she probably thought, well, there's nobody's going to let her die, nobody's going to let her die in this situation. And
Orlando, it is so nice to meet you. Huge fan of yours.
Thanks.
As I said, I was watching you this morning. You cut the hair.
I did, yeah.
Since the series.
Yeah.
It was free flowing. Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
The series is epic. Between the wingsuiting, the free diving, and rock climbing, what was the most difficult challenge for you?
They all posed their own sort of slightly insane challenge for one reason or another. I think, you know, wingsuiting was terrifying. It's completely unnatural to like throw yourself out of anything, let alone a plane, right? Falling is not something that anyone wants to do. No. Through the sky or anywhere. But it was, I think the opportunity was to be present to the moment and learn from Luke the protocols that gave me the opportunity to even attempt something like wingsuiting after learning to get my A license, which is the license that you need to become a professional skydiver, or at least a certified skydiver, I should say. And so I transitioned from skydiving into wingsuiting on my 26th jump, which was kind of insane.
It's unheard of, yeah.
Yeah, but it was something that, because, you know, Luke Aikins being the guy who jumped from the stratosphere at 25,000 feet, I think, into a net without a parachute. He is, I think, you know, on, like, he's the guy in the federation of skydivers. Would you call it a federation? Probably.
Well, you're working with the best of the best.
Yeah, so I'm learning with the best of the best, and Luke, being that, had a series of markers for me to check before I was able to attempt anything. I think the crazy thing is that everything is so heightened in those moments, and, you know, any slight change, like I changed parachute 3 times, you know, the gear shift is like everything you become heightened and completely aware of. So when I got to the wingsuiting aspect, it's pretty terrifying, because it's just like a knife edge and things can go wrong very quickly. But when you skydive, you have just a parachute on your back, and you reach back to pull your chute, which, you know, is quite, it's set to be easier. When you're wingsuiting, your arms are out at this crazy angle, and you need to reach back before you kind of to pull your chute. So that feeling of being on an edge, I think with dive is what's so terrifying. I think with because I'll explain, when you reach back with wingsuiting, if you catch the wind at the wrong point, you could go into a spiral or a twist, and the timing that you have is just seconds before, you know, and you don't want to be upside down or in the wrong position before you pull a chute. So that was the thing that was like, I was constantly kind of freaking out. And I think you see it in the show. I had this crazy wobble in one of my jumps, and I was like, wait, the instability really freaked me out.
Got to trust your instincts a lot.
Instincts,
in these situations.
Instincts, protocols, what you've been learning all the through, and a little bit of the universe.
Yeah.
But dive was like, it was almost like an emotional experience. It was like you're diving down, and it's, you know, part of it was I was wearing a mask, and so I had this, equalizing is a big thing with diving. It's like clearing your ears as you dive, because the pressure builds up. And I had a little bit of challenge with that, which you see in the show. But I think also I was like, you're holding your breath, and the pressure and the feeling, and how do I get back up, and what if I black out? Because they talk about, you know, blackouts underwater, and that was something that was just like playing in the back of my mind. But I had a wonderful teacher in Camila, and who is the Mexican freediving world champion. She's, I think, swum to 80 plus meters, which is just like mind-boggling. If you think, I mean, I had this short window, but I swam to like about 37 meters, which is about 102 feet, which is, you know, considerable. It was quite challenging. It gets very dark very quickly.
Was there at any point where you like, no, that's too much?
Like constantly. I was like, wait, this feels like a lot. This is very real. How do I get back up from here?
How did you prepare for all of this, like not only physically, but mentally and emotionally?
I have a Buddhist practice, so I tend to chant and I try to stay present to the experience that I'm in and stay focused and in the moment. But honestly, it was people like Mo Beck for climbing as well, who is this remarkable adaptive climber who's been climbing since she was a child. She was born with one hand and has this remarkable courage and spirit and the ability to just, you know, look at a climb and overcome it and just that like mentality of like can do, you know, I will do, the sort of guts and determination to do it. I remember standing at the top of Ancient Art, which is the climb that had been selected for me to it's a pinnacle, and it's like a pizza box at the top, and you're just standing with like 400 feet drop all around you, and it was just like, I was like,
I'm afraid of heights, so
my whole
that's
body.
not my jam.
I don't know anyone who's too comfortable with heights, honestly. Like, you may say you can handle it, but like really in those instances, it's a lot. It's very real.
Well, so you said you did a chant. Can you give us a taste of the chant?
I say Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo.
Ooh, it's got a nice rhythm.
It's got a nice rhythm. It means I bring myself in tune with the rhythm of the universe, as it were. It's the title of the Lotus Sutra, and it's been in my life since I was 16.
Wow. You know, going back in time, I know you said your intention was to overcome some of your lifelong mental and physical obstacles. You were very intentional about taking this on, and you've previously shared about a near-death experience you had at 20.
Yeah.
What happened, and how did that inspire you to take on these challenges?
I think, so I fell. I fell from a window. I got out of a window, rather, to get onto a roof terrace and held onto something that wasn't really suitable and fell from a fourth floor window to a first floor balcony. And it was, you know, I was out for a couple of minutes, and then for about 4 days I was told I may not walk again. And I'm at 20 and I'm at drama school, and I'm thinking, who's going to play Orsino in 12th Night? And how am I going to overcome this? And I had, you know, a remarkable recovery. I was obviously young, and it was a great, it was sort of, it was a moment, it was a life-changing moment. And it was, I think, part of what I learned from my practice and chanting is that, you know, the obstacles in life are the opportunities for our growth, right? So I try to, you know, take those on. And I think at such a young age to have had that kind of experience, it kind of refocused me in a way that maybe nothing else could. At my tender age of 20 and being the chaotic human that I am and was. So I think that, you know, I sort of, after, it was during COVID that I came up with the idea for the show, and I think it was such a terrifying time in the world for everybody, and so many people, you know, living in fear, and I could feel that around me. And initially I thought, if I get out of this, what am I going to do? I want to do something. What am I going to do? When I like a bucket list. But actually, the original idea was to do some kind of like meet people in the world who are living in such a way that helps with longevity and life, and we really didn't get any bites from any studios on that. I think there's a great Blue Zone show, actually, but they were like, well, how about we just throw you out of a plane and see if you can swim down to the bottom of the ocean and or climb this rock, you know, so I was like, yeah, well, that works. That sort of plays into some of my thrill-seeking nature. So that's what the show became, and I think that it really, what it was, aside from just, you know, attempting these, you know, crazy feats and putting myself in these unusual and like inhuman pressure cooker of a situations, was learning, I think, to appreciate my life in a way, and the education of becoming capable of and really, I think you see these 15-second clips on social media and you think, oh, I could do that, or that looks, you know, And what you don't see is the hours, years, months of preparation or skill or dedication that these adrenaline junkies, who are actually supreme athletes, like the people who train me, put into life and into the experience that they actually then show you. And I was intrigued about like becoming, you know, a guy who could, you know, or what that would help me with in my life to be capable of those, you know, those kinds of things. And
what was the biggest thing you really learned about yourself on this journey of self-discovery?
Humility, probably, you know. There were moments, I think trust probably is really the thing.
In yourself?
Yeah, myself, my life. The education, the protocols that I've been given. Climbing was super challenging for me, not only because of the exposure, so exposure being, you know, your where you're positioned as it pertains to the fall or the drop around you, but like there were muscles in my body that I just was like, wait, there's a muscle there that's helping me do this, and I think you know, overcoming the gear aspect of it. Like there are knots and there's climbers. What I really kind of realized was that these are lifestyle choices. People, I think you can become a weekend climber and you can learn to freedive, but like to become an expert, like we see, you know, the people who are training me and people you see, like I said, in doing it in the world, they really dedicate themselves and their life and time to these things. So the thing that was really kind of maddening was I had, you know, 5 days to learn to free dive. I mean, I'd done a lot of breath work leading into it. Camila had given me some breath routines to learn to hold my breath, and I'd learned to hold my breath for, you know, 4 or 5 minutes at a time,
wow,
which was pretty crazy. But I was super relaxed and in this position, and it's very different when you're in water and dropping and falling and swimming, and it's a whole different thing. But I think trusting and being present probably to the experience that you're in, because I think we're set up in life today because of probably our phones and the chaos of life and everything that's going on to just be completely distracted from what's actually happening in front of us, you know?
You were in the thick of it. I mean, you really risked it all.
Bless you.
I'm curious to know, what did Katy think of you taking on this project?
I think it's funny, I've been asked this, and we're super supportive of one another, you know. I'm always just amazed at how much she can like take on. She's like, she does so much. But I think, so, and she is super supportive of me and what I'm trying to do in the world. I think perhaps she hadn't necessarily fully realized what kind of circumstances I was putting myself in. You know, I think she probably thought, well, nobody's going to let her die. Nobody's going to let her die in this situation. And, you know, I don't think that, you know, the things that I were doing, people live and survive through. But I did feel like my life was in my hands at times, at different times, and depending on how hard you push it or how far you try to go. So I was also learning a lesson of restraint, of like, where is my edge? At what point does it become too far? And I think that's something that I really needed to learn, you know, in my makeup, you know. And what is that edge for you? You know, for some people, it's just totally different. Some people are very uncomfortable in a big social environment, so they need to keep working on that. Some people, you know, it's difficult for them just to, you know. So it's like, in a way, I hope that the show encourages people to sort of push their edge, whatever that may be. For me, it was something insane. Get outside your comfort zone every now and again. Push yourself and lean into the discomfort, because I think that's where the things, the rich sort of flavors of life become, you know, more interesting. And it's easy to just be comfortable, you know, or to play it safe. But when you do step out of your comfort zone, I think that's where life gets very real, very exciting, very fast, and you learn.
I have a clip I want to show you.
Okay.
Pretty funny. We
I
caught
love
up
PTSD.
we caught up with
Oh, you did.
we asked her about you on this set.
Orlando is an adventure junkie too. I mean, I'm checking in with him. He's filming a show right now, and he's like, he's climbing mountains in Moab, and I'm like, oh, thank God you called. You're alive. Every time he calls, I'm like, you're alive. Great.
So she was thinking about you, and I saw you two had the FaceTimes while you were there.
Yeah.
I mean, as a dad and a husband, what was going through your mind during some of these terrifying moments?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, you know, I kind of knew and always felt that I was working with the best of the best, and my experience of learning and growing was necessary, and that what I was doing would be something that hopefully, you know, would play into my family life, and being present for my children and being present in my relationship, and understanding that when I'm, you know, when I'm feeling super stressed, you know, I can fall back on whether it's my practice of chanting, which was so important to me through that period and is in my life, but like, it's easy to forget those things. So I think it was just, you know, knowing that, like, you know, becoming capable in my life and being able to do it, and how that plays into my life today with my family. I think it's something that I think Katy would say now as well. You know, it's transformed me in many ways, and I'm glad I did it. You know, and I think she knew that it was something I needed to do. It was something that enabled me to break an old paradigm of thinking that was not serving me, and doing this kind of extreme activities, these crazy sports were sort of serving me in a way that will ultimately, you know, serve our family and hopefully me as a human in the planet, you know.
Well, I want to end on this. Who is in more danger? Katy from her fashion wardrobe malfunction, or you throwing yourself out of a plane?
I can't answer that. But, yeah, she doesn't have many malfunctions. She's pretty squared away, that one.
Well, thank you. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you.
Cheers.
This was such a cool journey to watch.
Thanks
and
so much
very
for your
entertaining.
questions. Thanks.
I could never do it.
You could.
So
You
I
could.
really respect it and admire you.
You could do something like it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Find your edge.
I'm
Find your
afraid
edge.
of heights, so.